Hey guys, it's Carla. Today I'm using a canvas panel and acrylic paint. I've got white, golden sunset, flamenco red, whatever that is, bright blue, and burnt umber, and black. I've got some black on my palette. But any variation of those will work just fine, or you can change it up completely. All right, so I'm going to start with I think I'll start with their hair. So I just want to find a small brush. This is just a flat synthetic brush, and I'm just mixing up a nice dark shade for their hair. Okay, so I'm just being really loose and messy with this. Okay, and I'll come back to that later. So I think I'll go ahead and put in my wooden crosses. Let's see. I'll go with a larger flat brush for this and pick up some brown, maybe mix a little of that in there. That's fine to start with. Okay, so first I want to get all of that base color brushed in. If you'll notice, I'm still using this larger brush because if I switch to a smaller one, I'll get too detailed with it. So, and this is not a part of the painting that needs detail. Okay, I think that's all the wood. Okay, now I'm going to come in and paint the skin, which it'll have different shades in it of like different highlights and shadows and stuff, but I just want to get a nice base color. drip some water. Now I do need to switch to a smaller brush for that, for this one back here, because it's not quite as big. I'm still just keeping it very loose. Okay. I forgot his face. And his beard. Now I'm going to go in with black and just put in some kind of shadow color in the hair to give it more dimension. Trying to kind of make it look like it's really messy, and because of what he's been through. Okay, now I'll put a base color on my on both of these wraps. So what I want is kind of a grayish, blue shade for the base. And then we'll come back and highlight and shade it and everything. There's not much to these, just a few little brush strokes. All right. Now, okay, now I'm going to use a hog bristle brush and start putting in my sky while all this is drying. So in some places I'm going to have it really bright just so that they stand out more, or so he does anyway. I know you can't see that, but it's wetting the canvas. And then I can come in and I'm just scrubbing this in, just kind of in circular motions to create some movement in the sky. Now I've mixed some black with it so that I can get kind of a stormy looking sky. Still going in circular motions with my hog bristle brush. I want this very thin, so to go down into those little crevices in the canvas. All right, now toward the edges, I want it to be even darker. Watered down paint and circular motions with the hog bristle brush. Okay, that might be good on the background. We'll see once I get the other highlights and stuff in. All right, so now I'm gonna go back to this flat brush, and I'll go ahead and get my highlights in the wood. So just kind of a light brown mixture. So right here is where the corner of the board is. And then you'll be able to see the grains up here. And then it would come across like this and continue off the canvas. And you're still seeing the grains up here, just horizontal. And then right here would be the corner of the board. This is the front part of it. And then with a little bit darker shade, you're going to see this side of it. And now with a really dark shade, I'm going to brush this into the bottom, make it look like it's in shadow. Okay, now I'll do the same thing to the other cross. I can find my brush. I'm going to decide where the light color goes. So my light source is right here. Not that that matters a lot in this painting, but I'm just going to use that fact to determine where my light in the board is going to be. And now with that brown and black, give it some shadow for depth. Okay, now I'm going to move back to the people. So I'm going to use just a round brush with a point on it. And I've got a nail head up here that I need to put in. You can see the nail head and part of the nail. Get this little liner brush and kind of define the nail a little bit better. And you may or may not be able to see that on the monitor, but you'll be able to see it on yours anyway. Alright, now I'm going to use a small hog bristle brush and start highlighting or putting shadows in the skin. Alright, so under the arm right here is dark. You just kind of have to look at your reference photo and see where to put the dark to make it make sense. Go ahead and do the same thing over here. Use whatever size brush you feel comfortable with on this. Don't want to put much detail in this one because it's far away. Okay. Okay, now I switched to a small flat brush because I forgot to put the shadows in the hand, and it's very small areas, so I want a small brush. Not putting a lot of detail in, but I do need some. Alright. And I'll go ahead and keep that small brush while I've got it and start on my highlights in the smaller areas. Again, this one back here is not going to have much detail at all, but you have to put highlights in or it won't show up. It'll show up. It'll just look like it's pasted on there. keep in mind that this one back here is not as important as the one in the front. Well, for one thing, because it's obviously because this is Jesus, but also because this one's farther away, so there's just not a lot of emphasis put on it. All right. Now I'm going to use a hog bristle brush and start scrubbing in some highlights on him. Okay, now I'm going to come in with a liner brush. I mean, not a liner brush, but a round brush with a tip on it. And brighten this up just a little bit. Lighten it up. Put in a little backlighting. This just makes it show up better. And in reality, there is backlighting, like in photographs and stuff. Okay, now I didn't do the backlighting on the hair. And I'm just going to kind of scummel in some highlights here too. All right, now I'm going to move on to the wraps down here. Just want a very, very pale blue, almost white shade. And I'm just making some little, I guess you would call them like little comma strokes. They are just for texture. And over here, I'll give that some backlighting. And a little bit of texture. I really don't want that, really don't want that white in there. Even though it's not solid white, it's kind of a pale blue, but I still want it to be a little bit warmer. This is very watered down. I'm just kind of putting a glaze on it. Okay. Now this one back here is obviously going to have blood coming from the hands and the feet, but he didn't get beat up like Jesus did, so there's not going to be as much on him. So right here, I'm just using a liner brush to kind of scumble in right here on his wrist. And on his foot. I'm just kind of darkening it up a little bit so it's not like bright red. All right, now on that one, that's it. Over here, I'm going to start up here with the hand, but there's a lot of blood on him. Scumbling this in like it's dripping. And then dot in some of this black. So now I'm just going to kind of indicate injury here and there. I'm sure there was some on his face. And this is just a liner brush. And I'm very lightly touching the canvas with it. I'm sure there's some on this rack down here. Okay, now I want to put the crown of thorns on. So to do that, I'm gonna use my liner brush again, and because this is a dark area, I need some white to make it show up, and then I'll come back and put color on it. So I'm just very lightly touching the canvas in different directions, just short straight lines. Brush is getting too thick. I've got too much water on. Okay, now I can come in with color. Maybe some of this color. If you didn't have this white on here though, this wouldn't show up. So can't skip that step. Just mixing up a dark shade here. think that's it, guys. Hope you give this one a try. Thanks for watching, and until next time, God bless you.